Hello, everybody. I'm Britt. This is Shay. Sorry, on StreamYard, it's reversed. And so I was like about to do this to point to Shay, but on Zoom, it's just the way it actually is.
Right, normal, yeah.
Sorry, I'm Britt. This is Shay. Welcome to our Friday sprints. We're not sprinting today. We are just going to talk about Wings of Ebony. So like I said, I'm Britt. This is my channel, brittwriterly, book and author tube, intersections of literature and culture, ABC 123, smash that like button and ring that bell, ring that bell. If you haven't already, so you don't miss a single upload or live. And I will let my lovely co-host now introduce herself before we get into this beautiful book.
Hey everybody, I'm Shay. My channel is Shay with the Hobbies. I write short stories, poetry, and the occasional blog post. And I'm excited for our first official group read ever of any Kwanzaathon. So, this has been awesome. I'm super excited to talk about it.
Yes. Okay. So we're gonna try to like tackle this in parts. So the group read, the first section was 1 through 9. The second section was chapters 10 through 21. The third section was 22 through 30, and then it was 31 to the end. So 1 through 9 is Rue, is from Rue going back to Houston, finding out that Tasha almost get into a car accident. She touches her. She transfers her most recent memories of Gizan. She gets sick. She gets taken back to Gizan. They try to bind her powers, but she escapes first. So we get a little bit of Gizan from there. She comes back. And then she tries to save Tasha, but realizes her magic has been shut off, even though they didn't like bind it while she was in Gizan. So that's chapters 1 through 9. So that's what we're gonna start with. Shay, what were your thoughts on these, on that first little section of the book?
I mean, the truth, I was just like, she make decisions that don't make no sense to me. Like that's just all I just kept thinking. And I was like, I don't like Bree. Bree is doing the most, and I don't understand why she going so hard. And I remember feeling bamboozled because that word I like to say was like right at the beginning of the book, and I was like, aha, I feel seen, and then we don't see it ever again. So I was like, y'all got me. You got me. So that's how I was feeling 1 through 9.
It's in there one more time. I had forgotten that it was in place, but it's there twice. Okay. Yeah, so I will yield to Shay all things hood logic because I didn't grow up in the hood. I didn't grow up hood adjacent. I grew up in the suburbs. So I don't have any experience with it. So whenever Shay is like, a hood person wouldn't do that, you're not gonna catch me being like, well, my hood did, because I don't have a hood. I have a neighborhood. Not the same. So I yield to Shay and her superior knowledge and experience on that. But for me, period. For me, first of all, let me start with saying this. I loved Wings of Ebony. Y'all gotta know that. I did a whole reading vlog where I was gasping and giving life and adoration. I made a whole appreciation poem for the author, Elle, and for the character, and I stand by that. Let's start there. But on the reread, you just see like smaller things. So overall, I still appreciate the book, the story, the characters, the setting, the way that magic operates in Wings of Ebony, because it's not escapist. It is constantly trying to get back home. It is constantly trying to confront the realities of Black life in America. Nothing that I say undermines that, but I've already spoken about those things, so I'm not gonna do it again. The things that I've noticed more in this read were the annoying things. Let's just start. I'm on the Bree slander squad. That's just what it is. I was highly annoyed that Rue tells Bree they had planned for her to come back on the anniversary of her mother's murder so that she could deliver this gift to her little sister and walk her to school, which is really just like seeing her to school because she couldn't have any contact. For the entire time, you'd be blowing up my line talking about Rue, where are you? Are you okay? I'm getting worried. Why are you getting worried? Everything is going according to plan. Even before the car crash, even before Rue touched Tasha, it was like Bree just being like, surveillance, leave me alone. I am trying to have a touching moment with my sister and you are blowing my line up. It's too much. So on the reread, that was like the first thing I noticed. And then in the live, the first Friday Night Live that JL had on her Instagram, she was that moment when Rue touches Tasha and Patrol gets an alert and Bree's like, Rue, Patrol is coming. What did you do? And JL was like, did you catch that Bree automatically assumed that Rue was the one who did something wrong? Like Bree had no idea what had happened and just assumed that because Patrol was deployed, Rue did something wrong. And so Bree is just positioned in a space where she is down to help you as long as it doesn't cost her anything. She doesn't want to get in trouble.
The whole time I read the book, I thought it was genius the way that Bree is positioned as the well-meaning white woman.
Absolutely.
Like that's what she is the whole time. Like, but I worked hard for this. But I did this.
Stolen
but
goods.
Like, I can't help what happened before me. I didn't do that. My parents didn't do that.
Right.
Everything I got, I worked for. And you're like, true, but.
Right. What you can't get around is
where you can't get from is where you started from automatically is wrong.
Right.
Like, period.
No matter what came after
so
that.
The whole time I read her character, I just watched and I saw and I was just like, this is so perfect, because I was like, there's so many people who are going to read this book and they are going to love Bree's character. And they're going to think that Bree is such a great friend. And they're going to be like, Bree is just, she's just really caring. She was just really worried. She just really wanted to know. She just really was doing everything that she could. And it's like, because what you don't see are all the microaggressions in everything that she does. Because for her, there's no way to accept that you naturally can and will do what she does and more. Is not possible in her head. And the more you read the story, the more you see that that's really how she thinks. It's not that you're not great. It's not that you're not amazing. It's not that you can't do great things. It's that you can't do anything that I can't already do.
Which displays some internalized, although like it's unsaid, right? But that doesn't make it any more insidious. She got some supremacist ideals.
For sure.
She just does. And we're like, and we're talking about 1 through 9, so I'll just cite where she says, what did you do? But she has some supremacist ideals that position her on the side of authority and Rue on the side of one who is in an uneasy relation to authority, if not entirely antagonistic of authority. Like,
and the part that I think is interesting is that although for all intents and purposes, just from who Rue's father is, she comes from a higher bracket or class of people than Bree does. And Bree constantly does things and says things as if she couldn't possibly be better than her. Like, it's weird to me. Like, it's like if you knew the vice president's daughter and you're like, you are like the aide to the vice president's assistant. That's who your mama is. Your mama is the vice president's assistant's aide, but you walk around with your nose high in front of the vice president's daughter. Like, it's weird to me.
Right, and we can scoot up to the 10 through 22 section, because so we do get a bit of world building through Bree though, because we get from her this,
how things are set up.
Right,
Exactly. Yeah.
and I'm in the Doizini or whatever, that cast, like, yeah, I'm the worker. Like, we get from Brie how things are based on how important she thinks she is or how well off she thinks she is when you're sleeping on the floor.
Right. Like, I was like, and I feel like Bree or Root even says, like, I know the hood when I see it. Like, I know the slum. Like, I know, like, y'all not living in a lap of luxury. I can tell that. Like,
right. You can call it whatever you want to call it.
Like, yeah, girl, I can too, because they don't. I mean, you talking like your parents important, however, but the description of where y'all live,
it's not giving what you think is giving
at all.
Exactly. So I like the subtle like pockets of world building that JL puts in through just conversations with these characters. Like, those conversations are doing so much, because on the one hand they're showing us that Brie is the well-meaning white woman. They're also giving us a bit of like the cultural societal structure. So I do appreciate those things that pull double duty in that way, without it seeming clunky or like you're just listing things. In 10 through 21 is when she is she's there, she goes back to Miss Leola. In chapter 10, I think, is when we get the retelling of her mom's death. And so like she talks about her, like, where she was and taking care of Tasha, and they were hoping that the mom was going to be able to be home on weekends after that, and maybe we can all go to the mall this weekend when you get better, Tasha. And how careful Rue always has been with Tasha, like, okay, I got to give her this medication at this time, and then in 2 hours this different medication, I'm not gonna mess up. And so we sort of see that Rue has always been this very like this big sister, where it's like, I gotta take care of you, and she does not see her role as big sister as a passive one. She considers herself an active caretaker of her little sister, and how sort of witnessing, even if only like hearing her mother's death, catapulted her into like primary caretaker of Tasha, only to be ripped away like 24 hours later. So you sort of see, like, chapter 10 sort of frames for you why Rue is so pissed with SM. Like, that's not the only reason, but in so much as like Rue's primary concern is always Tasha, he jeopardized her ability to stay with her sister. And so in addition to you not being here my entire life, that's another thing that I am actively angry about, like, in the present tense. That's not history. Like, a year ago you did this thing that is still affecting my ability to be with the only family that I have left, because she doesn't count him as family. So 10 starts with that, and then 21 goes to
okay, so before we go, okay, so there's a couple of things, right, in the 10 to 21 section. You realize how much Rue don't pay attention to stuff that goes on around her. Like, you realize how much she does not pay attention. And the reason I say this is because I'm like flipping through and going back to like things that I noted. And in chapter 10, her little sister has to tell her that she didn't see any Black people in her memories. And she's like, what does that matter?
When I heard that, I literally stopped. I was like, I don't remember her saying that, but this is why rereads vex me so, because I have to see all the things that annoy me that before, like, my high of excitement just cleaned me over. I'm just like, what do you mean it doesn't matter?
Right, like, and why does your sister take notice of this immediately, and you lived there for a whole year and acted like this wasn't a thing?
And I can't get over, and this is just me. By the way, I was out. So chapter 10 to 21 is us getting Rue's memory of her mother's death all the way to when she goes back to Gizan. And
for a second or third time. Because in 10,
I think it's the second time.
The second time, okay, because she came back after they tried to punish her, and she's back, and now she's getting her mom's stuff, getting the scrapbook.
Yeah, and then And then I think this is after she sees the boy get beat to death, she goes back.
Okay.
And so I think
In the warehouse thing, in the warehouse.
Yeah. Yeah. Where Julius told her not to go. And then her dad is saying like that he's gonna help her get her magic back. So in this, she finds out that the general is Leto, and like that there's a connection between Gizan and her neighborhood. That's what's going on in those sections. Okay, now let's get into it. That made no sense to me. How Tasha was like, where they at? And she was like, I don't know, what does it matter? I don't understand that. Like, for her to be so invested in her home, and for her not to mark the differences, I just don't understand that. And I'm not sure I find that believable for a 16-year-old to have that level of culture shock and not note it.
It would only be if it wasn't a culture shock.
But it was.
It can't possibly be, because the whole point of the book is for us to know that she's around nothing but Black people, and that's where she feels comfortable, and that's where she's at home.
Right.
And that's where whenever she sees white people, it's weird because they're not usually here, so they stick out. Like, that's what we're getting throughout this entire story. That's why these tattoos stand out. That's why these men stand out, because they're white. They're not from here. They're not a part of the neighborhood. And then,
but you're somewhere where everyone is gray, and you don't wonder where the Black folk are, and your dad's the only one. And that's why I'm like,
and your dad don't look like a Black with gray on it? Like, that also doesn't make you think something?
Right. Like, it's not affecting him. But I mean, she knows that the melanin is what protects them from that shield. But I'm just like, it doesn't make sense to me that even through your anger, you wouldn't ask him that.
Right.
It just doesn't. And I'm like, maybe I don't get it because that is not my experience. Like, my dad.
Not a
thing.
No, because my dad did not raise me. I would have to ask you, because being where I come from, being the person that was raised in this place, fight or flight kicks in. For me to be surrounded by people that I don't know and none of them look like me,
mm-hmm.
There is a sense of familiarity of knowing that there's people in a room that look like you. Like, for everybody, period. White or Black, right? A white person walking into a room full of Black people, regardless if you know them all, you're still gonna feel some difference, because there is a visible difference between you and everybody else around you. Doesn't mean you treat them different or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's still a noticeable thing.
You just notice it.
You just notice, and right? There would have been a conversation.
Yeah.
We're not even adding the fact that magic is real.
Right.
We're not adding the fact that magic is real to this whole thing. Like, there's so many things that just in general, it doesn't make sense that you wouldn't ask questions, because you have no other adult to talk to.
All the other adults are racist.
Like, no one else will talk to you. Even Bree's parents don't talk to you.
Right.
So to me, it's just, it makes no sense, other than, which we know we'll talk about later, somebody told you this is how you need to tell the story.
That conversation will be.
Because it doesn't logically make sense for the background that you gave the character. I can see a lot of different characters that this will make sense for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I grew up around white people, I'm not gonna feel weird in a place where I'm the only Black person, because I'm used to that. That is not foreign to me.
Right. But it was for her. That was the whole
point of the story.
That was the entire point. So yeah, it just that, where Ruth's conception.
And I think that's also the part that bothers me, is because, like, you further made this even weirder by continuously acting like she didn't notice it. Like, it was one thing for it not to happen, and I was like, this is weird. Because I remember texting you and be like, this is weird. But then, like, to have so many things happen to where everybody else is acknowledging this but you.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So here's the thing. I don't rub me the wrong way, finds me befuddled, however you want to say it. I think it's odd that on top of that culture shock of not having been around white people, you are not talking to your dad. You're talking about he ain't nothing. He ain't my father. He's like, you talk to him like he's, I don't even know who, because I don't
because you don't even talk to him like you grew up respecting adults. Like,
right,
you don't even talk to him like the basic respect that I would have
for
to
a stranger.
Any adult. Like, period. It's weird.
And she says, like, if mom's heard me talking to any adult this way, she'd whoop my butt or whatever. But I'm just like, okay, all right. So you acknowledge it, and I guess that'll have to do. But like, whatever. So when she, with all of that, right, with the culture shock of the grades, and you're not talking to a Sim, you treating him like a murderer or something, like, then you go get a white friend. That to me, that it's weird to me.
And then you ignore all the things your white friend does that make you uncomfortable. Like, you say something that in your head, I don't like the way she said that. Why she say it though? And like, you acknowledge that and then just move on past it.
So let's move into the third section, because we get more of that.
Before we go to the third section, because this is something I wanted to point out, because this is still in the second section.
Okay.
So it's in the section where she finds out about how her dad came to get her. And Bree is right there, and her and Bree are talking. And Bree goes, did the page turn? Yeah, it turned on a second. Hold on. Where is it? Hold on. Dang, I just had the page.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Okay, so so they're talking about the type of thing that the dad bought. It was like, it's pretty much the dad gave the mom a necklace, right, that whenever it was activated or done, it would summon him so that he could come and grab Rue and be gone. Right. It's pretty much how it works. And so Bree is telling Rue this, right? So Bree, and I'm gonna read this section because I remember reading it and being like, huh. And now that we're talking about it, I want to get your thoughts on this.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 124 at the bottom.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is Rue speaking at this point. She says, so it's a device that summons its creator? Exactly, she says. I wish I could have seen it. She rests her chin in her hands. I've only read about them and they're hard to make. That's really complex old magic, Rue. Like, how would I seem even? It takes an old type of Gazani magic that they don't teach anymore. She taps her lip. Actually, I don't think I don't know if they ever taught it. And of course, all the books on ancient Gazan were lost when the chancellor took Rupp. She's such a magpie, I swear. Right. So now, reading this again, I'm like, are we sure Bree didn't know what happened?
Exactly. I'm like, wait a minute.
Bree didn't know? And also, how are you hearing this conversation and not realizing that your dad was protecting both you and your mom?
And also, we see, and Ruth says throughout, like, you can't tell Bree nothing that she don't already know. Like, Bree thinks she know everything, whatever. Your dad's a grown man, respect him or not. Your dad's a grown man who is second in command, and she acting like he shouldn't know enough to make this spell to protect you. Little girl, have you lost your mind? You're in school. Like, it's just that's just a different level of arrogance and respect. Because no matter how pissed I ever got with my parents or my sister, bet not nobody else say anything about them.
Right now, you not no.
And that was disrespectful. That's really complex old magic, Rue. Like, how would a sim even? Excuse me?
The second in command. So this makes me feel like you feel like his position don't matter. Exactly. Why would he be second in command and not know some important old stuff
that like, they don't teach children?
Think about that. Why would you think that you knew everything this man knew and you're a child?
In school.
That's why I was like, I know we want to get to the third part, but I need to read this because I didn't catch this before. And now, because we didn't heard JL talk about his big betrayals. And all I know is if it ain't Bree doing the betrayal, if you got Julius or Jamal betraying
Absolutely
anybody,
not.
we having words. We're having words.
We're gonna have
because
huge issues.
you've set it up greatly for Bree to be the betrayal.
Right.
And catching that now, looking at it, I'm like,
someone will have to answer for this in ashes.
For how much Rue talks about how intelligent Bree is, and for all the things that Bree seems to do in this book that nobody else has done or knows how to do, how did you not know where the magic came from?
Right.
You were able to create a watch that not only got her from where y'all are back to where she was, but also hid her. So nobody knew that that's what was going on. And I'm supposed to believe that you
had no idea.
Know nothing about the history.
Interesting.
Right. So part 3.
That I'm gonna need that to come back in ashes. I'm gonna need us to come back to how much Bree did or didn't know. Because when Rue, so in chapter 4 is when in part 3 is when she brings Rue to Yayo Peak. So part 3 that for us, like the reading section, was 22 through 30. So 22 is where, because at the end of chapter 21, Asim says, first you need to understand where you came from. And he takes her to Yayo Peak where the onyx stones that channel the magic are.
Right, because 21 is also the chapter where she's like, well, if you could do it, I could do it, right?
Is that there? I thought it was in this.
Is that in 21? I feel like that's 21.
If it is, like the microaggressions.
Right.
I'm just like, Bree is disrespectful.
Right.
She's rude as heck. Like she just is. I don't like her. And I didn't like her on the first read. Before even catching the fact that, like, because I didn't know. So when she like suddenly stops talking, I don't understand the significance. But now that I know what's happening, I'm like, did you almost start to tell her this?
Right.
Early in the book? Like, it's too much. So she's in Yayo Peak in 22. And at the end of 30, she leaves and goes back home because she gets a text from Tasha that says, I need you. And she has brought Bree to Yayo Peak. Let's talk about that. I was pissed. Like that angered me. Like I didn't really get angry at Rue for much of anything on my first read, and I'm not angry at her on my second read. I'm more frustrated with her decision-making process because I'm just like, it just doesn't make sense. But you're 16. So I'm not gonna hold you, but just reading it, I'm just like, oh girl, please, can we come up with something else? But off top, her bringing a colonizer to ancestral ground, I was like, you have lost your Black mind. Why would you ever? And I don't like it, just because that felt disrespectful for Rue to do to all the people that are hiding there. People have lived their entire life in hiding, and you just bring someone here who is part of the reason that we're in hiding. And we're supposed to just swallow that because what? Your name is absolutely not. I don't care who you are. You don't know what's going on. You didn't even know that we were here. So you shouldn't get to make that decision. But the fact that you did it so casually, were I a resident of Yayo Peak, I would have issues with her automatically.
So here's the thing. We need to talk about because this book brings up something we love to say. All skin folk.
I knew you were about to say that.
Because here's the thing, is that the truth be told, bloodline or not, you're not from here. You weren't raised with these customs, with these cultures. You don't even respect this gift or think of this place as your home. Mm-hmm. So to me, it was reckless AF to send this 16-year-old girl there. I'ma just be honest. Queen or no queen, as an elder, I would have been like, yo, she been here for 365 days and don't even want to talk to you. We'll never bring her to y'all can talk. To y'all need to have a come to Jesus meeting first
Before she
we
comes to
can talk about the
Yayo
rest
P.
of us. Because here's my thing. Y'all have been hiding here for years.
Right. Right.
What little bit of y'all that still exists has been hiding here to protect what little y'all have left. You, as her daddy, knew that she was only talking to this little white girl. You knew that.
It wasn't smart for any of them. For any of them, really.
It wasn't. And as soon as it happened, I was like, bro, this is gonna end badly. This is not gonna be good. Because I didn't trust the girl. So there's that. I just didn't trust her. And even if I trusted her, I knew that somebody else was gonna use her because you're so close to her.
Right. I knew that Luke was suspect off top.
Man, I was like, if it's not her, it's gonna be Luke. It don't make no sense for it not to be anybody else.
Right.
And he want to be second in command under the general. He too ambitious.
So he wants your dad's job, is what he just said.
Right.
He wants your dad's job.
Makes no sense to me. So it wasn't chapter 21, it was chapter 26. And the crazy part about it is chapter 20, or it was chapter 25, that she said that chapter 25 was a freaking flashback.
Yeah. Chapter
25 happened in the first month that she met that girl.
And that's the thing. I'm like, you are eating all of this crap from Bree, but you are just like on a Sim's neck and you don't know why he left you here. Do you see how he lives? Why would he leave your mother for this? With no other kids, he's just here.
No girlfriend, no life, no nothing. He has nothing.
He's living a single life.
No nothing. Like, you can't possibly think that's all he ever wanted was that. Because from your own admittance, what life does he have? It doesn't sit well. And so to go back and thinking that the conversation, so I was in my head, in my memory, the conversation about the magic happened after Yayo P, after she learned some stuff. No. The conversation happened within the first month that she met you. How do you not know what a microaggression is?
Even if you don't, you know that didn't feel good.
Right, and this is literally how she responds on page 216 at the very bottom. I mean, I knew it, she says. Knew what? If you could do it, of course I could. Huh? I mean, I am new here. Maybe that's what she means. I wait for her to say more, but she's back eyeballs deep in studying. What makes you give her the benefit of the doubt that you don't give your father?
And that's my whole issue. Like, I know that you're mad at him. I understand that on an intellectual level. My dad has been in my life my entire life, so I don't share that rage. But I'm just like, you have been taken from everything you know, and he's the one that did it. If you want to get back, you have to talk to him regardless. So the fact that you won't speak to him, when you do, it's mad disrespectful. But you let this white girl talk to you like this, I'm just like, I don't understand how you're wired. Like, I don't understand, because if you were giving them all the same energy of bump you, all right, fine.
Right.
But you're not consistent with it.
Like, it's just weird to me that you have all this smoke for an adult that you don't have for somebody your same age.
You could clock Bree in the face and it'd be no issue.
Right. Like, you're not in my face, my same age. Like, yeah, I mean, if you could do it, I could do it. Like,
right.
Girl, we just met. You don't even know me. Like, have you correct yourself? Like,
I mean, I am new here, which is why you should be talking to your daddy.
Right. The second in command. Like, regardless, second in command to this regular
girl.
Daughter, I don't understand. I just don't understand.
From the moment she met Bree, it was all bad. Even before this was a month after she'd been there. The day she met Bree and she was doing all that mouth about, I sleep on the floor, but it's a prideful position. Girl, please leave me alone.
Right. Like, girl, why are you up here trying to make your little studio apartment sound like a palace? I don't get it. I don't get why you trying. You and your parents all sleep in the same room on the same floor. I don't understand. Like,
from jump, it should have been
if
like
you
this.
on welfare, just say that. I don't understand. I don't get it.
That's not a problem.
It's not.
Just own it.
Right. So
it's
like
that you can't see it for what it is that's troubling me.
And that was what bothered me, is because like I didn't know, like to me it made it seem like Bree came from like what would be considered the hood of where they're at, like the slums of where they're at. And so that's where y'all align. Like, her parents are workers, your mama was a regular worker. Like it seems like that's what you were supposed to be going for, but y'all had nothing in common.
Right. Bree don't even see herself as living in the hood. So let's start there.
Right. Like she doesn't even see this as that. Like, one, she's in denial. Also, can we talk about that, right? Can we talk about that? I don't know if JL did this, but I'm just gonna say she did, right?
What?
Can we talk about the belief that you are better than other people because of the color of their skin, even when you're living less than they are? Like the true reason, why did you think you were better than Bree or Asim in any way? Because you were definitely not living as good as them in this world.
Rue, yeah.
Like, yeah. Rue, right, yeah, Rue or Asim, like you weren't. Right. And so, but there's something about you that makes you feel that you are superior. And back to that well-meaning white woman. Mm-hmm. Well, it can't be me.
Not me. I've had your back the entire time.
The entire time.
Which she says in this section, when she says, hey, here's how magic came about. We need to fix this. Don't come at me like I'm the problem, Rue. I helped you get there and then we see it come out, all the scripts. But it's just like, that is literally, and I cannot think of the woman's name, Shannon something, but she talks about white priority, which is her, which she names this thing because she's giving a presentation, and a woman from the community comes up to her and gives her an earful, like, I'm a white woman, I live in a trailer park, I'm on welfare, da 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 da. You're not gonna tell me that I have privilege over a Black person who's middle class. Like, that's just. And so she comes up with this term of white priority, which is the felt sense of needing to come before someone else. So in essence, it's, you want there to be a glass floor, that no matter what, at the very least, you're white and there's something else. And that means that you should come before them. And I feel like that is what Bree has. Like, she is clinging to white priority. She just wants to feel like she's better than everyone else, even though you live in the hood of Gizan, because, well, they're Black. Yeah, he's the vice president, but he's Black and he works under the chancellor as he should. Like, it's just this felt sense. And that's the thing, like, it's not based in reality. It's not based on your actual sociocultural position. It is a felt sense. You just need to feel like you're coming before somebody else. And I'm just like, Bree slander squad. I don't like her at all. And I hate even more that Rue let her into such a place as Yayo Peak so carelessly. Like, you're just not being careful. And the thing is, like, there's a bit of selfishness to that. You have been saying this the entire book, and I adore how you've been looking out for your sister the entire book. I adore how you don't use, how JL doesn't use magic as an escape. Like, they're not going away from their real life to the second world, never to return. And now all your problems of being Black disappear. No, Rue was like, I want to go home to my sister and Miss Leola and my blog. Like, I want to be there. And she confronts the issues of drugs being pumped into our city, et cetera, et cetera. I love that. At the same time, that is where you think your home is. That's what you consider home. You don't consider Gizan, you don't consider Yayo Peak your home. And so you want people to be careful with your family and your home, but when you're brought to somebody else's, you act ridiculous. and completely reckless with their safety. All these lives, children, elders, adults, parents, like you just don't, like you just are careless with it. And that's one thing where I'm just like, again, you don't keep the same energy for everybody. And I find that I'm just like, that's interesting who you decide to treat a certain way and who you don't. All these Black people, and you are reckless with them for this little white girl who has been disrespecting you since the day you met her.
So,
go on.
Page 256.
We are in the book, people. Do you have your books with you?
This is when she finds out, right? And so this is Bree. I believe you. I'm just, a tear rolls down her cheek, so angry that everything I was taught wasn't true. That I've been walking around here like all this knowledge, my grades, being the top of my class, as if any of this really matters. Everything I've learned, all the practice I've done. I worked so hard to be the smartest. As rookie, I'll be doing mostly mind work. I probably won't ever get a big fancy job, but I still wanted to be smart, like real smart, you know? Even if others look down on me, I know that I'm just as capable as they are. I have never heard Bree talk about being rookie before, not like this. Being born as rookie parents and designated is like no matter what you do, you're still rookie. You can't get rid of that title. It's like a stain. Like people only see the box they put you in, I say. They don't see what you're really capable of, what you could do. My entire life back home. Exactly. So I worked really hard to blow people away, prove them wrong, she says. Me too, she cuts me off. Be the smartest rookie I can in all of design. I get it. Make a way out of no way. She turns to me, pain written on her face. But you're telling me none of that work matters? Not anymore? She cleans more tears with the back of her hand. Like every single thing I've done was pointless because it was all built on a lie. And I'm just so angry he would do this. Okay. This goes back to what I was saying about you were so aligned with her thoughts of like where she came from and her being from the slum and proving herself. But can we also talk about the way in which up until this point in the book, the way that which she spoke about herself and her family was with such arrogance that you wouldn't even know that this is how she felt. And she says that. I've never heard her talk about it like this, right? And so for me, it goes back to that whole like, well, I'm poor too, so I don't have privilege. White privilege doesn't exist. I had to work just as hard to get here. We never said hard work wasn't a part of your equation. We just said privilege was too.
Right.
Like, that's it. Like, we didn't say hard work was subtracted from it.
Right.
You had hard work plus privilege.
Right.
The rest of us just got hard work.
Right.
It's still an added thing that we don't got.
Hard work and racism. So you have this double plus, and I have all the pluses I could try to make from my body, and a huge minus sign on every level that I try to work. It was Shannon Sullivan, by the way, who termed, white priority. And
but I mean, we even see that when we think about feminism, right? We think about the women's suffrage movement. Like, it was a white priority to that. Like, no, absolutely. We'll get white women first, and then we got to do it for us. But once we do, we gonna champion for y'all.
50 years later.
Right. So there's definitely, not that we would think that Miss Sullivan wasn't right, but there's definitely a lot of evidence to that thing, period. Right? Like, there is this white priority sense of doing things that if we do this first, then we'll come after that.
Mm-hmm. She's a professor. But I wanted you to keep reading, because what she said after that, like, even,
okay. I wanted to keep it. I was like, I don't know if you
go on, because as I was listening to it, I was getting, like, the first time, I was getting pissed. Like, you are literally not letting her talk.
Right. No, you are interrupting her. And this is the part that, again, it goes back to, y'all know, one of my favorite things to say is it only matters if you're the bigger person, if the other person realizes you're the bigger person.
But since you can't see it, I'm gonna have to read you.
Right. Because like here in this moment, Rue is trying to ease the situation for you.
Right.
She's trying to relate to you. She's trying to say, I understand. Right. I've been there. I know how this feels.
Right.
And you are still like, you couldn't possibly know.
Right. You're not even listening to her.
Right. Right.
You still think she's an other.
Right.
Go on.
Okay, so I keep going. This is messed up on so many levels, but why are we still talking about her? I mean, she didn't really get the shortest end of the stick here. Did she even hear what I said? I stuff my hands in my pocket and stare at my shoes. Also, could we talk about how like you will say anything to everybody else, but not this girl? You like throughout this thing, you have all these feelings that you don't ever say out loud to her. Like you are questioning everything she says. You have an opinion about everything that she's saying in this interaction, and you're not opening your mouth.
You got smoke for everybody else.
But you got smoke for everybody else. To me, it doesn't make sense that you brave with men with guns and not this little bitty.
Hello? I'm just like, Rue, can you just help me understand how you decide?
I'm not like I'm a pretty bold person. I'm not gonna be more bold in front of a gun in my face than this little girl that's my same age and whatnot.
I mean, I guess we could say maybe it's because that's her only friend and she doesn't want to be completely alone. But I'm like,
but you have other friends. And she's still a friend that you only known a year compared to friends that you've had 4 years. So it's still, for me, because again, you're talking about friends that you hadn't seen in a year, that you pop up and you ask them to do work and they like, who did it, what for, where we need to be.
They know more about it than you do. They've been dealing with Lito and his craziness for a year. You don't know what you're asking for. They're completely aware and they still do it.
Right.
Go on.
Right. So I just, she growls in frustration, tossing her red frames on the bed. I knew I shouldn't have made that watch. Oh, she whispers it. I knew I shouldn't have made that watch. She whispers under her breath. That none of this would have ever happened. Did she just, what did you just say? She sighs, I just mean, nah, don't backtrack. You regret making me this watch? The watch that let me visit my sister without setting off patrol? The watch that lets me go back and forth between here and there to protect her and figure this magic shit out without getting hemmed up by the laws? The who? No, she rubs her temples. I just mean all this trouble started with that. I should have known that chances are this would snowball. She paces faster. You see your sister, miss being home. Of course it would be hard to not touch her. She's your family. I touched her to save her from being killed in a car wreck. Is she serious? That's what you do when you care, Bree. You take risks. Rue, I've been here. I've been there for you since day one. Don't even act like that. I'm not acting like anything. You were my girl, true, when it didn't cost you nothing. And sure, you're angry now, but what you gonna do? Anything? Rue, this is not my fault. And I came to Miss Leola's at my own personal risk. You know damn well this watch makes travel undetectable. You said it yourself. What risk? And no, this isn't your fault. I've said that 1,000 times, even though you're not listening. But what we do now, Bree? You're still sporting my people's stolen magic on your wrist. She holds her arm to her chest, aghast. What? You expect me to get rid of it? I earned this. You can't earn something that's stolen, but I'll let her talk. That's what people do when they can't hear. What? What? You let her talk. You did. Okay. She goes on. I'll have you know that hacking is very dangerous and it's encrypted so no one knows it was you. You cover your tracks well. So you're saying I'm not a real friend? I don't know what you are anymore. First thing out your mouth is how you the victim. And I mean, sure, believe that. But eventually, I hope you realize this is bigger than your straight A's not meaning anything. At the end of the day, you still have all that knowledge you stacked up. You got freedom. What they got, Bree. So here's the thing.
For me, the thing is that you still calling them they.
Right. I don't like that. Like, here's the thing. How you invite somebody to a place where you don't even feel like you're connected to these people?
Exactly.
How do you even have that ability? How?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you don't think that they're your home anyway, but you gonna endanger them? That's hypocritical, because you're losing your mind over your home being in danger right now.
Right.
But you know they've been in hiding for years.
Right.
And you're going to endanger them on day one for this.
Like 50 years.
People literally born who don't know what the outside of this mountain looks like. And you're talking about, it's my people stolen magic, but what they gonna do? Are they, she is clearly struggling to incorporate herself into these people, because it's my people stolen magic, but they don't have freedom.
Right. Right. And it's fine. It's fine that there is a level of distance between y'all. That's fine, because you don't know them. You knew that before you told this girl to come here.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's reasonable that you are like, I know intellectually that these are my people, but I'm struggling to identify with them because I didn't grow up like they grew up. I feel like I have I do have freedom that they don't have, because I wasn't born here. I'm not confined to this mountain. Okay. But then why would you endanger them?
Right. That's my biggest thing. Why?
That's my huge
thing. Obviously safety has been their biggest concern.
And you bring her here, and you knew, and that's what pissed me off. You knew when you said you wanted to bring Bree that they did not want her there. Because when you said it out loud, they had a reaction, but you didn't care. And
you knew when you asked her what she saw, and she saw no one. They didn't even allow themselves to be seen by her. You knew then, before you even told her anything, how much they did not want her there. You legitimately say to yourself, oh, I guess they didn't even want her to see them.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I cannot rectify in my mind how you can be this street smart and be this clueless.
Can we also talk about how she tells you how she got there, and nowhere does she acknowledge that it had to be magic to get there?
So it's traceable.
No. So when you ask, when Rue asked her about coming there, she says, I saw a bunch of onyx and I seen took me to here and da-da-da-da. You had to go through magic to get here. A magic that you have never seen. Mm. So you know something.
Yeah.
When you stepped on this mountain, like that's the part that bothers me. It's because when you I was going back and I was like, wait a minute, let this. I don't know, because it's 2:56. I started reading a second ago. When it is?
Y'all, Shay is going through.
Y'all.
She said, I'm gonna cite my sources. Hold on.
Y'all, right.
And y'all feel free to engage us in the comments. I know I haven't said that.
For sure.
But definitely engage. Hopefully I can be in the comments the day we put this up. But yeah, definitely tell us your thoughts on all of this. We definitely want to know if you're watching on the replay after the premiere ends. Definitely, what are your thoughts? What was the thing that you loved the most? What was the thing that you were like, this didn't make sense? What was the thing that you were like, I could have screamed? Tell us all your feels. Shay, go on.
So she asked Bree, what did you see when she came in? And so she says, okay, let's see. I saw piles and piles of onyx. Then a seam took me through this long caved-in tunnel to a wall, which we walked through somehow, and it opened up to more mountain. There are tables and chairs. What else? She glanced around the room. That's pretty much it. A seam didn't let me stop and sightsee. He just took me through the mountain out back here. So Bati and everyone are tucked away. They really don't trust anyone from the district.
Why do you? These people are mean to you. Why
do you think that you know people better than these people who've been living here for 50 plus years?
I guess we can chalk that up to the hubris of youth, but I'm just like, okay, is it though? Like,
and again, this would make sense. And this is, again, not no like shade or nothing to like non-hood race people, but like,
here we go. Go ahead.
That's what I was like, no, in the context of what like we're taught and whatnot, it doesn't make sense that you wouldn't think of elders in this stance of knowing more than you, right? Like, so much of hood life is the people that came before you, OGs, and like there is a hierarchy to life, and people who have been on this earth longer than you usually have value and things to teach you. So, like, to me, just this logic of you knowing that there are all these people who know this world. Jamal knows more about this world than you. It's just because you do default to adults in the hood.
Right. Miss Leola
tell you to do something and you're doing it.
Period.
She's the only reason you even started to stutter, step, and respect your daddy is because she started to tell you the story.
Right.
Bree telling you how the device worked didn't make you do it.
Yeah. And let's scooch into the last section, because the fact I hate that she is like she gets close to Asim after he dies, or like when he makes that final sacrifice.
If there's one thing that I just did not like about the book, that was it. Like, if there's one thing that if I ever would like, JL, can we have a conversation? I hated that scene. That was my least favorite scene of all the scenes.
I'm just like, why though? You were receiving, from the beginning of the book till that moment, you were receiving nothing but information that showed you that he was trying to protect you from day one. Sure, he doesn't see you and Tasha as sisters. He sees y'all as half sisters. His conception of family is not the same. Fine. But at the end of the day, Tasha is not his daughter.
Right.
Tasha's family is taking care of Tasha. He's taking care of his daughter.
And her family wasn't taking care of you. So let's start there. You know that you understand the concept of your family being your family because you say Tasha's grandma, Tasha's daddy. I have no daddy. Like, so you understand the concept of there being a difference between what's her family and what's your family, regardless of what you're choosing to do.
And how those responsibilities shake out when it comes to taking care of y'all.
You understand that. You understand it, so shut up. Like, that's what bothers me.
Like,
you don't have regular Americans acting like half sisters and half brothers in a conversation. Stop it. That wasn't the first time you heard somebody call her your half sister.
So because Tasha was already gone when came for her.
Right. They took her, like her daddy's parents was like, okay, well, your mom
gonna come take her.
Right, which is what everybody should have done. Everybody did what they were supposed to do.
That's what the sim did for you. We'll go back for Tasha. Tasha's already with her family.
Right.
She could not and should not have gone to Gizon. I'm sorry, I don't care. She could not and should not have gone.
Right.
For what? Like, for what? So for her hearing about it, her seeing the necklace that shielded her mom, and her saying he did this even though he knew that he'd never be able to find her. Yes, that should do a 180 of how you're thinking about him. It was sacrificial.
Right.
But for it to not, I'm just like, baby, you just settled in your rage. It's just familiar now. At this point, you're not mad at him because of what happened. You are mad because it wasn't fair, and you want to blame him for that because you can't blame your mom because she's dead, and that feels weird. But he didn't make a decision for her. They had an agreement to the point where there was a protocol for what to do if your mom ever died. Like,
there was, right, like that. And that's like, that was in the freaking second part of what we were reading. That wasn't even in part 3 of the book.
That's what I'm saying. From the beginning, she was getting all this information, and it didn't change how you felt about him.
Right. So, okay. So now to go back to remember when I read it the first time and we were talking about it, right? And remember how like you were like the conversation and you were like, I just wish her dad would have tried more. And I was like, I feel like her dad did all that he could have done without pushing her even further away.
I did say I wish he would have just told her about Yayo Peak. Like just sat down and been like, listen, here it is. But when he finally did that, she crapped the bed immediately.
Right. So like,
immediately.
like I don't like there's no way. And so like that's why I remember like you being like, I don't know. And this goes back to why I didn't like the dad dying scene. Because in the dad dying scene, the way that it reads is that the way that she was raised was her mother's decision. There is no way that when you come and pick your daughter up the day after her mother dies, that you can tell her that her being raised in the hood poor was her mother's decision and she accept that.
Yeah.
Like, so like, again, I was just like to me, the reason I didn't like it is because you gave their relationship no hope from jump.
I'm having massive deja vu. Have we had this conversation before?
Yeah, like when we sat down after I finished the book and I told you what had bothered me about it, I was just like
wow, where am I right now?
No hope, and you made her an orphan on top of everything else.
Yeah, but that goes
like
back
there's
to
no way, and
that's
why I was like there with the way that the reason that she was raised in Houston and not in Kazan comes out. There's no way you could have told a hood child that after their mother is gunned down, because all it comes off is like you're blaming my mother.
Right.
Like there's no way that would have flown, and not with Ruth's character, it wouldn't have.
Please, she would have never.
She wouldn't have been there a year. Like, nah, she would have. Her and Bree probably would have never made friends. She'd have been trying to get back that same day. She wouldn't have waited a year trying to plan an escape.
As soon as she had magic.
Right. As soon I'm out this, like that would have been the end of it.
You lost your mind. Yeah.
Right. And that's what I just remember watching it, reading, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah, it does sort of make them a non-starter.
Right. Okay, there's only one other thing that I wanted to clink in on. I gotta find it because we talked about this privately, and so I don't remember if you gotten back to reading it in here, but I'm trying to get to the part where I feel like everybody who's Black got magic is my thought.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah,
like even that's not from design.
Right.
Yeah, you did mention that, and I was like, I don't know.
So let me see where I'm going. Hold on.
Yeah, while you're looking for that, so 31 to the end. Oh, you found it?
No, I said all right to what you were saying.
Okay, so 31 is when Rue has gone home because Tasha texted her and said that something was up. She gets back, it's a trap, and then it goes from there to the end of the book when Bree texts her and says the chancellor is marching on Yayo Peak, you got to get back now. And Rue goes back, tells Julius she'll bring him later. So I am excited to see Julius experience Gizan and Ashes of Gold, but that's what's happened in this section.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so she goes back and it's a trap. She gets jumped, essentially. Because Tasha is all good. Miss Leola come in with the wind up to like help Bree, whatever. And essentially like they blow up the whole spot. Like they raid the hood. They're like throwing Molotov cocktails in the houses. Like they're really messing the place up.
Right.
And yeah, I just felt there's such a downbeat in this book.
Yeah.
It's one thing after the other of things going wrong. And I'm just like, whew. it's just hard. And I love that Tasha and her have this moms raise the diamond and diamonds don't crack, but I don't think it's healthy. I think that is a nostalgic saying. I think that it's like a rousing rallying cry for her and her sister. And when I first read it, I was like, oh wow, like they share that. Okay. But stepping back from my appreciation of that at face value on a deeper level, I don't think that's healthy at all. I think that's actually part of Ruth's problem, is that she refuses to crack. You were not a diamond. And I'm not saying that as like you don't have value, but diamonds are not humans, they're things. Like they're things, right? So a diamond cracking or not cracking is of little consequence. You are a child. You're 16 years old. You are not an adult, and you're dealing with very adult things and huge levels of trauma, and assuming a lot of responsibility that should not be your portion at this time in life. And you feeling like you can't crack, I feel like that's part of the reason why you don't ask for help when you need to. Like, you only take help when you need it, but you always stop it before it can be really useful. You'll let Julius drive you to Lito's place, but you'll make him stay in the car. And then you have to be alone while you watch this child get beaten to death. And then you leave Julius outside and front as if he get caught there, it's not going to be a problem. So I'm just like, that phrase, like, puts blinders on you in a way that's not healthy or helpful for you, and also does not serve the friends who are there for you. Because you got people that are trying to be there for you, but then you're not there for them in return. Like, you say you're doing things for the block, and you talk about the block, but I'm like, right, but what about individuals? What about Julius? What about Tasha? What about Leola? And like, you'll do anything for Tasha, but other than that, like, you'll just say the block and to some extent, it seems like the block is a concept for you, because it took you to the end of the book for you to even enlist them for help. And that's fine, that's the arc, that's whatever. But what I'm saying is, I think it took her that long because she was clinging to this moms raise the diamond and diamonds don't crack. And it was a very just like solitary conception of strength. And even Tasha had to say, mom raised 2 diamonds. It's not just you.
Right.
So I appreciate JL putting that in there and dealing with the, like, we got some Black girls out here trying to be diamonds, and it's a cool thing to say, but it's a dangerous way to try to live. And I appreciate that representation I appreciate how she undermined that, of like, yes, let's have that, and then let's see the consequence of trying to live like a diamond when you're actually a
right. Well, so, and I think also, I feel like there are parallels to diamonds and being a diamond and living like a diamond, that people take some of them and not all of them, right? Because like, even biblically speaking, when we talk about diamonds and we talk about purifying stones and that heat and that pressure purifying them, that I feel like is part of what she was intending to take on, without acknowledging the other parts of that, which I think is part of what you're saying, is that like there's nothing wrong with being strong and going through these situations and holding your head up and not cracking under pressure. But there is something to be said about acknowledging the situation that you're in and dealing with every aspect of that. Because the truth of the matter is not just the situations, it's the emotions that come along with them, right? Because throughout the book, we see like you don't deal with your feelings about nothing. You're just going. And the point of being a diamond means that you have to care about all aspects of you, right? Like a diamond, it's cut, it's clarity, it's a bunch of more things than just being a diamond. And I feel like in this context, like that's what it is you're focused on this one part of being a diamond, without realizing it's so much more to that.
Right.
Because to you, all you hear is
diamonds
don't crack. And the truth is diamonds do. And
I'm like, do they not?
They become new things and they grow and they're purified through fire. Like there's a lot that comes with being a diamond. And then if we're being honest, diamonds aren't all that rare. Because if we're being honest about this diamond character for Black girls. It's really not that rare.
No, we
To
all
be a diamond when you're a Black girl.
Right. Like that's the default.
Exactly.
But you won't let any other Black person help you until the end.
At all.
And you
and
will,
you
but I'm
know
like,
you're a family. It makes no sense because you know you're a family. That's the one thing family is supposed to do, is depend on each other. But for some reason, it's everybody has to depend on you and nobody else. Like, that doesn't make sense.
And again, like, you'll let them help in little ways. You'll let Julian drive you there, but you won't let him go in. Julius drive you there, but you won't let him go in with you. And I'm just like, the way you allow people to help is almost condescending.
Right.
Like, oh, you can do this, but you can't do all of that. Why not?
Right.
Why not? They have been the ones living here in these circumstances while you've been out in freaking Gazan. Like, why can't he?
Also, you kept the magic to yourself to the last 3 chapters. Like, you don't say anything to any of them.
And I guess you didn't want to get them in trouble by like touching them and getting the chaser.
Right, but you'd already brought them into the stuff for me at this point. At this point,
she would be affected. Like, she would feel the chaser again, and every time she touched somebody.
Right, but you didn't have to touch. You didn't have to touch him to tell him there was magic. You didn't touch him when you showed him the magic. In the end, you just showed it to him. Like, no. So she says, "I can show you better than I can tell you." So you just show him the magic, but you're not touching him when you do it.
Oh, I thought she touched him.
Well,
did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah, no, she did touch him when she holds his hand and she touches him like everything. Okay. But more so, like, you could have just told him.
Like, throughout the book, yeah, she definitely could.
Right, you could have. Like, especially with you leaving out of nowhere. Like, you go into the warehouse and you get transported back to Gazan and you don't, with nothing. Like, this man hears gunshots and is outside waiting on you.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, the way you allow people to help puts them in danger when you're trying to not put them in danger. But I'm like, you just leaving them.
You talk about how we all know the sounds of a gun. We all know that pop. We all know what that sound means. What kind of trauma are you putting your... Okay, right. So anyway.
Which is ironic because you're pissed at your dad for leaving you, but you in and out.
Right.
I'm surprised it took Tasha as long as it did for her to be like, Rue, you're not the only one here.
Right.
Like, you're pissed at us, and you think I ain't got no smoke for you for leaving for a year?
Right.
Which she does sort of say, like, when they're in the coffee shop, so I did appreciate that. So I'm like, yes, can we deal with that? But anyway, go on.
Right. So on page 350, it starts off, she's like, I didn't want to risk you, that's all. Keeping fam safe is what I do. You're fam. I'm more than fam. He winks and rubs a thumb across my lips. It seems tingles through every part of me, but I pull away gently and put my head back on his shoulder. So what now? He asks, taking the onyx from my hand. He examines it closely. All that power can be put into this little tiny stone? Wow, right? Ow. What? Is it supposed to be warm? Yeah, when it's bound to your skin and filled with magic, it warms when you're mad. Wait, what? It's warm? Yeah, So that's what made me think, right? Like, so the stone's warm to your magic, and it's Julius who is holding the stone after she shows him that she's magic, and it's warm. And she's confused because you're not from Gazan, you're just a human.
Oh.
And so my thought is that, like, all Black people are magical. More so that, like, especially knowing now that it's not Black people from another planet, they're still Black people from Africa. And we know Black people from Africa got spread all around this world. So that's, I'm curious.
Yeah, how I read that was that she was feeling her magic thrumming through it. Not that it was like reacting to his magic. That would be interesting because she's supposed to, like, he says, take me with you. And she says, I gotta go see what's going on, then I'll come back and get you. So he's supposed to be in Gazan for at least a part of Ashes. So we'll see if Julius has any Magic.
I don't think it's just Julius. I think everybody. I think that's. I mean, in low key, if I was the writer, that's how I tell the story. Because all black people are magical to me. So you know that'd be the end of my book. You find out everybody got it. Everybody right. Everybody. That's how you find it at the end of mine. So I'm curious to see if I'll be right. But I think that's what that is. I do. Because again, the black people don't need stones. The stone is just the indicator of magic.
Right. It's already in you. Okay. Well, we will see. Y'all tell us what you think in the live chat. Let us know what you think in the comments if you're watching on the replay.
I like how this was way longer than the 30
I saw that. That did come to my attention, but what are you gonna do? What the heck are you gonna do? I just let it happen. I saw it at 8:05. I was like, okay. We make plans and then we roll on. Let us know what you thought in the comments. Let us know if you have pre-ordered Ashes of Gold. Pre-orders really, really help out the author. So if you can pre-order, definitely do. If you cannot afford to pre-order, call your local library. Hey, are y'all planning on stocking Ashes of Gold? They respond to those sort of requests. They really, really do. Local bookstores, ask them if they're planning on stocking. They respond to getting multiple requests from books. So definitely talk to your local book stalkers and ask them to pre-order Ashes of Gold. That's going to make sure it's on the shelf so that you can grab it up as soon as possible on January 13th, right? So, or 11th. So thank y'all so much for hanging with us. If you did the reread with us, thanks for doing this first group read of Shay's Kwanzaathon. Thank you for hanging with us for this hour and a half or whatever the heck it's been, for your participation, etc. ABC 1, 2, 3. Y'all have a great day. Bye.